I'm Kirk. Welcome to Good Enough Backyard Beekeeping. Today we got a few things we're going to do. So this is our first time actually diving deep into the hives. We haven't done any inspections yet. So we want to look for queen cells, make sure they're not getting ready to swarm. So do anything we have to do for swarm prevention. Then we want to start setting up our hives for doing splits. So let's
Well, for
get
the
into it.
remainder of this video, apparently I had my audio off during recording, so I'm going to try to add audio to this and see how it goes. So my friends Rich and Nancy are here helping me out. You can see Rich is smoking the hive. He's just passed the smoker on to Nancy, and Nancy's doing her best to keep that smoker going. So I'm getting a little closer to the hive right now so I can oversee what Rich is doing. I have yet to actually get into a hive since I've had surgery. This first hive is what I call the red hive. Came out of winter with two deeps and a super. Well, we want to get into the hive now, and it's really propolized up here pretty hard. So I'm going to show how I use my hive tool to pry these frames apart. Right now, I'm going to scrape off some wax, just shaking some bees off right here. We're going to make a pile of wax over here. What's going to happen is the bees are going to lose their interest in that wax and start crawling off. As you can see on the top there, they're already crawling away. Just be gentle, go slow. It's not a production bee yard. We're just backyard beekeepers here. So if you go nice and slow, the bees will remain calm. And you really won't have to use much smoke. As you'll see, they pretty much leave us alone. So there is a flow coming in. The bees were coming in over on the left there. That's where their entrance was. The first frame that I like to remove is actually the second one in from the end. I find that if I remove the end frame, they usually build burr comb up against the side wall of the outer box, and it will scratch up the any comb that you have there. So here I am. I'm just trying to pry into the propolis. This is the first time I've been in this hive since last year, so the frames are pretty stuck together here. You can see I'm trying to drive my hive tool in there and not very successful. So at this point, I finally used the J hook and pried up. It brought up two frames, but that's okay. We're going to deal with that. What we're going to do is pry up the other side, push down on that extra frame, and that frame will come right out then. Lift the frame slowly. You can see here we finally break the frame free. And now we're going to do a little bit of inspection. I'm overlooking the brood pattern. Uh, Not a big brood pattern at this point. We can see a little bit of nectar on the side. We're scanning the frame for the queen. I really don't expect to see her this far out on the sides. Usually, if I see eggs, that's a really good indication that the queen is nearby. And we're not seeing eggs. We're mainly seeing nectar and a little bit of caproot over here. So seeing some queen's cups, opening them up, there's nothing in there, so they're not charged. Just one of the signs that for swarm preparation would be charged cells, but there's nothing in these cups at this point. Moving on to the next frame, you can see it's much easier to remove this frame. Use the leverage of the hive tool, stick it in between there and wedge it out. And you'll see the frame will come out much easier. So I do love these J hook hive tools. They're very handy. Now you notice I do not put my hive tool down while I'm inspecting. It's probably the best way to keep from losing your tool. So Now I'm going to start scanning the frame, trying to see what's going on. It looks like I'm looking at cap brood, mostly in the center. There's a little bit of pollen nectar on the outer side, and here again, cap brood. So this queen's doing well. I'm very happy with her. There's a good amount of bees on a frame, and yeah, this is looking good. Let's move on to the next frame. Here I'm going to step away and sit down for a few minutes and let Rich take over. So you can see how nice and slow he's going and scraping off a big pile of bees with the wax there. Here I was explaining to Nancy how a 360 camera works. I'm able to actually reframe the picture without actually rotating it. I'm doing this on the software where I edit it. Rich is continuing to go frame by frame. He's looking for brood, signs of nectar, and actually for the queen. So I'm going to kind of speed it up here. I'm going to not make you watch every frame that we go through. And it's going to scrape off a little more wax. You can see the pile of wax we're getting there and how most of the bees have actually left. As we get to the last couple frames, you'll see that there's less and less brood. We're starting to get into honey at this point. I believe any capped over honey that you see this time of the season would be leftover honey from last year. Um, so just pointing to it right there, that was capped. So far, I'm pretty happy with the inspection. The bees have moved up into the super. They started laying brood. Queen looks healthy. And so you can see we removed the super, and there's a fair amount of bees up here. As we look down into the frames, you can see that most of them are occupied, at least on the frames closest to us. Rich is working on getting the second frame out of there, properly using his hive tool. I love that J hook. It gives you a lot of leverage. Now that he's loosened the frame, he's able to lift the frame out of here. And look, he's keeping that hive tool in his hand. He's not putting it down. Good job, Rich. So he's looking for the queen, looking for eggs. I can see some honey on the side of the frame over there, over on the right. And looks like no queen at this point. This next frame came out. Here again, we're looking for the queen, looking for eggs. Uh, just basically looking for the health of the hive. Searching in there, looking deeply for the eggs. I think I do see brood in the center. Um, so trying to point that out, probably can't see it on the camera though. So in general, I'm pretty happy with what I'm seeing on this frame. And we'll flip it over. Looks like there's some more brood in the center. Probably can't see it at this distance though. On to the next frame. This is where things start to get exciting. What do you think we're going to see here? Well, Rich is pointing to it right now. He sees the queen. I'm pointing to the queen right now. I'm going to put a little mark. Hopefully you can see the queen on your viewer, what you're looking for. On a big screen, it would show up much better. It's kind of hard to see on a small screen such as your phone. But it's kind of exciting. Hey, we saw the queen. She's marked. That makes the inspection go much better. At this point, we haven't seen any queen cells. That's a bonus. So it doesn't look like this hive is getting ready to swarm yet. Here we put the queen back very carefully. I've decided at this point that I don't need to really go any deeper into this. The population isn't huge. There's plenty of room for the queen to lay eggs. So we're putting the hive back together. I've decided that at this point, I'm going to leave the queen down in the brood box. That's really where I want her to be. What we're going to do is put a queen excluder on top. So Rich is cleaning off some of the burr comb that's on top so the queen excluder sits a little better. So we have all the frames back in the brood box. Nancy smoked down all the bees. You can see there's pretty much nothing there. What I'm showing here on the queen excluder is, I don't know why, but there seems to be one side for me I like to put down, and the smooth side where the edges, I don't have any bars, I put that down. Now you notice that I didn't clean up all the burr comb. My feeling is the bees know what to do with that. They'll chew through it if they want to. And if you're going to scrape that with your hive tool, all you're doing is taking a chance of bending the bars and allowing your queen to get through. So I do not scrape off my queen excluders. Here, the hive, we put the super back on. Rich put the cover back on. And as far as I'm concerned, this hive is ready to be inspected in another week or so. We are in the season. Queen or swarms will be starting. So we'll be looking for queen cups, and I'll be getting the hives ready for splits really soon. Here we've moved on to the next hive. I call this the white hive. It has a white deep at the bottom. Nancy has smoked the bees down, and Rich is cleaning off some of the burr comb. It's great saving all that comb or all the burr comb. I melt that down in my solar wax melter. Shameless plug, you can go look at my channel and I show how I melt my wax in a solar wax melter. And then I sell off the wax. I make candles, just another product to sell. Rich is pulling the first frame here. Spoiler alert, we get very different results with this hive, so continue to follow along and you're going to see what we do different. I can see in this hive, this frame right now, there's a pretty good brood pattern. But as we search through here, we never find the queen. Not a problem though. Hey, we found brood, we found egg, or yeah, we found some larvae. I can't remember if we found eggs or not. So Rich has pulled this frame out. He's looking for the queen. He's looking for eggs, larvae, basically any signs that there's a queen active in here. I can't remember what he exactly found, but we did find larvae in several of the frames. And as you can see, Rich moves the frame from over the hive to show me. Not really the preferred method, just in case there's a queen, you don't want the queen to drop on the ground. But Rich is trying to help me out, so I'm not going to complain that he's brought the frame over. So we're looking deeper, and we do see brood. Looks pretty good. The outer frames have a little bit of nectar in there. So this hive's not looking too bad, but not as strong as the other one. We look at a few more frames. Not impressed. There's less and less brood, maybe a little bit of nectar, but there's really not much more going on the top of this hive. So you're going to see we're kind of getting to the end of looking at the top box. We go a few more frames down, and we're actually seeing less and less. So then we move down to the bottom box. There's some activity down there, but we don't see any brood. Uh, Not really much going down here in this bottom box. So now I'm starting to think, what kind of decision do I have to make? Hey, I might just be thinking too far ahead. They did come out of a cold snap recently. They haven't had much to forage. So you got to remember, these bees need some time to build up. I've decided that we don't really need to do any more inspection. Time to put the hive back together. My plan now is to set this hive up for an internal feeder. So I use a bucket over an inner cover, and then I put a hive body around that and the insulated cover on top of that. Came back later and added the bucket. So this is what the bucket looks like inside the hive. And then we put the insulated cover on top of that. On to the next hive. Now, this hive was really different than the other two. It didn't look very good coming out of the winter. There's only probably a couple frames full of bees on there. Apparently, it really didn't progress that much more. What I was really surprised to see was drone brood on a frame. But then later on, I went back and looked or thought about it. That frame was on a honey super, and those comb were bigger than a typical worker bee cells. I'd like to hear your thoughts. So the queen had laid into a frame that was a honey super. The cells in this super were larger than normal worker bee cells. So my thought is these are basically drone size cells. So is there really a problem with this queen? Do I have a laying worker? You can see these cells though, they are drone cells. Now the question is there something wrong with this queen? Is it just too early? I don't really know at this point. So my thoughts is do nothing with this hive, put it back together, and see what happens over the next week or so. Rich has moved down to the next box. We're still not finding any eggs or larvae. This hive is looking pretty weak at this point. So I'm pretty much giving up on much hope for this hive. I'm going to let it go for another week or so and see what happens. But that's kind of the end of this inspection. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe so you can follow the rebound and growth of my apiary.